you played GenCon Saturday webcam, 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So I'm looking at your rounds. You played 7 rounds. It was all on webcam.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, how weird was it to play on the web, like on the webcams?
It was okay. The only thing that I didn't really like is just that I had to tilt the camera from the laptop,
Right.
and it was a little bit harder to see the screen to see what my opponent was doing. But other than that, everything was good.
Okay. So go through with me. You played 7 rounds. Tell me a little bit about each matchup from round 1 to round 7.
Round 1 against the starter deck Frieza, I don't see that as a hard matchup for me because they use the unison. If they don't want it to die, they have to crit a life.
Mm-hmm.
And I play Saiyan Kaba specifically just to try to get rid of unisons. And whenever he played his unison, on my turn I used Kaba to attack it, and he took 2 crit instead of letting it die.
Right.
And then next turn he did it again, so I was able to crit him 4 life from that. And then he took another swing from it and critted another one. So he ended up critting 5 life just to save it, for it to really do nothing for him.
Right.
So, like, he really just gave me something to swing at that made it to where he didn't gain any advantage. And then anything that he pitched from my hand was just gonna come right back out. So,
sure.
Like that matchup doesn't. I've had a difficult matchup against it a couple of times, but for the most part, it's usually pretty easy. Round 2, my opponent his camera didn't work, so he just kind of scooped it up and dropped out. Round 3 was Vegex. That went for a little while. But if anybody saw my post on Facebook, Vegex is not a difficult matchup for me at all.
No, you're the king of Vegex with your Bulma deck.
Round 4, I think was the other Zamasu. Yeah. So that Zamasu game, me and him, we were on table 1, and his camera wasn't working, and so we got a judge in there. He tried to fix it. It worked for a few seconds, and then as soon as the judge left, his computer stopped, or his video stopped working again. So we had to get the judge back in there. He switched us channels or switched us tables, and his camera was still not working. So they let us go to untap, which I had to actually build this version of the deck because I didn't think that I was going to have to use it on untap, so I didn't actually edit it there.
Right.
And we started with 25 minutes left in the round, and we only got a 4-minute extension.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were trying to race against the clock. I ended up pulling that one out within overtime. So before we even needed the extension, we were still within the 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I kind of just barely got him or I kind of just barely got that win within the time limit, because I'm pretty sure we would have had a draw if we would have lasted like 2 more turns. But I did have a pretty good advantage throughout that game. I kind of did the same thing I did for round 5, where I was kind of just getting rid of the unisons as quickly as possible. Round 5 was the first stream match that I was on, and that one was pretty difficult. I got rid of his first 2 Zenos really quickly. His third one, I kept it at 4. I think they were talking about it a little bit on the stream, and I made sure that it stayed at 4 because I didn't mind if he board wipes me, because I kept a 17 and a Bunny Girl in my hand, so I could just restart everything.
I saw that. Yeah.
I knew I had a Baba in my drop. I knew I had a bandage in my drop, so I was like, if he goes up to 5, he has to tuck his last unison underneath it, and then it makes half his deck dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty much that's kind of how I played that one. I made sure that his unison was kind of offline throughout the whole game.
Did you play tests against a lot of Zamasu to know that?
No, I watch Marcus Pintarsi's stream a lot, and he plays that deck, so I see that game get played a lot, and I've noticed whenever he's playing, and then anybody else that I've just happened to see, if Zeno's not on board, they're kind of on an uphill battle.
Right.
So, because like that free energy that they could pitch to do their leader effect really, really hurts if they can't get the free energy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because then they're just losing energy for no reason.
Mhm.
Is it round 6? The Ginyu deck?
Yeah.
Ginyu, I love Ginyu. I was really happy to play against it. I also felt bad because I knew that once I had Sin Shinron out, most of his deck was pretty much dead against it. Throughout that whole game, I kept an exploiting weakness just in case he was able to flood the board really fast, which never happened, but I kept it just in case. I think I charged one, so because I wanted to see if it would. I wanted to see if it would let go of a fear to play more, but he never actually played any more after I played Sin. So I played it as a bluff, like attack, like I didn't really need it, I guess.
Right.
But didn't really work out that way. But still got the game. It wasn't too difficult. Guy was real cool though, and apparently he's from the Netherlands. He's a pretty good player from over there.
Yeah.
I
think he topped the nationals last year over there.
Oh wow. Okay, see, I didn't know that. I heard them talk a little bit about it on the stream.
Gotcha.
After I went back and watched everything. And then my last round, I didn't know everything he was going to do. The Piccolos, when those two both were out, I did feel like that was a little difficult for me, but I've kind of just played around the popping effect. And something somebody asked me yesterday too was the Frieza was in my he wasn't in my opening hand, but he was in my hand whenever I still had like 6 life. So Frieza was just sitting in my hand for a good while.
Very convenient.
Yeah. That's like the only game I actually saw him in too. Like I think I saw him in 2 different games, and that was the only game I actually played it in, and it was like the game ender for the whole thing. He board wiped me a little too many times. That was really difficult to keep up.
Yeah, you guys were going back and forth a good while. It was very stressful to watch.
Yeah, it was intense. If I had another Super Saiyan Blue, the Goku, I could have gotten rid of one of the assimilated abilities, but I didn't have it, so I just tried to play around the two popping effects, which I think I did pretty well, using Vado through assistance and actually blocking before they got killed. Whenever he played the first Liquor, I didn't really think about the Gogeta getting played afterwards.
Right.
When he played so I played the exploiting weakness just to keep it off the field because I felt like if he did that, I was probably gonna lose. Since one of his assimilateds were still in active mode, so I was like, man, that's gonna be 40k crit, and I didn't really want to take that like that. So I went ahead and played exploiting and got rid of it. Then he played another one after he swung at Sin. I thought he was going to use the ability to pop the spike, but he didn't. Since he attacked the unison, I didn't really care if the unison went down by 1. Like, that wasn't a big deal because that was at 5 markers. Since he didn't attack my life, I was like, well, I'm not going to waste my block if he doesn't KO it. So since he didn't KO it, I was like, okay, cool, I can defend another attack. And then he played another liquor, and I had no response for it. So I was like, okay. And then he played the Gogeta, and in my head I was like, okay, he's gonna drop me 2 life right now, which is kind of what I needed him to do anyway. So I'm just gonna let him do this without me really being afraid of it. I was a little afraid of an extra double strike, but it still would have only brought me down to 1. So it wasn't too scary to think about. I didn't see any 1-drops throughout like the whole game, so I didn't expect him to awaken and play a 1-drop to go for 5 damage. So I didn't really feel like I needed to use any negates or anything. But I don't think I was tapped out anyway, so I couldn't negate. The Liquor's effect got rid of my blocker. I didn't have a Bunny Girl to do anything with, so just took the 2, which ended up getting me the game, because in the next turn I drew. I charged 1 because I was only at 5 energy and I wanted to be at 6. I had 2 Kabas in my hand, and since I was at 2 life, if he would have survived the Frieza attack, like say he had 2 after images or something, I would have gotten rid of 1 with his effect. But if he had a second after image, I still would have comboed up as high as possible just to get rid of his hand, and 2 of my Nappas would have came out. So then the combo would have taken a life. I would have had another card to combo with, and then the 2 Nappas that were on the board would have been 2 more, made it at least at a base of 50.
Right.
Or 25, 35, no, 40. Would have been a base of 40. And then I still would have had my Unison and my Leader Swing if I needed it.
You basically had it.
Yeah.
Well, good. So, obviously undefeated.
Yeah.
So the leader, Bulma, she has a special ability of all red and yellow Earthlings and Saiyans are blocker, right?
Yeah.
And then on the front you draw 1, activate main. She's an untapped 2 energy on Awaken, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the back it's draw 2. So, and those maintains the Earthling Saiyan. So basically, let's kind of go through the deck. You had Force and Shenron. Did you see it every game? Did you play it every game? How important was it?
I think I did play it every game. I had talked to one of our friends here about it when he had to play against a Bulma deck, and he told me that his opponent played a Sin Shenron, but he was able to get rid of it the very next turn. And I was pointing out, well, if you're using Bulma and you play Sin Shenron, you should always have something to defend it with. You should never play it when you don't have any defense for it. So whenever I do play it, if even if I have it on turn 3 and I don't have an Awaken, if I don't have at least 2 blockers on the field, then I'm not going to play it. So I'll wait till turn.
So I did notice on your streams you have quite a bit of 1-drops. Obviously, you have the Kaba, the Pilaf, the Bandage, and the Baba. It looked like you opened the Pilaf every stream game, round 5, 6, and 7, and you only run 2 of them.
Yeah.
What is the optimal turn 1 for you?
Probably Pilaf. Sometimes Baba is better, depending on what I'm playing against. Like whenever I played against Vegex, the best opening is to play Baba first, so I get 2 blockers out early on. So like whenever I'm mulligan against Vegex, I'm always like hard mulligan for Baba and a super combo. The super combo is for their 1 leader swing that they're going to use to bring me up to 15, and then it hits the field, so it's an extra block or an extra combo if I need it. And then of course Baba and Bandage will block 2 hits.
Well, let's talk about this Baba Bandages Spike and Grandpa Gohan. Obviously, not very common to be played. It was a little gimmicky when it came out, but now in the Bulma deck especially, it looks like it's very, very strong. So for those who may not understand or remember what the whole package does, kind of go from the beginning, how it starts, and obviously how it's supposed to finish.
All right. Well, Baba, when you play her, you can send either Bandage, Spike, or the Grandpa Gohan to the drop area. And then you get to play the Bandage from the drop area. So at any point, if you have Bandage already in the drop, you can send one of the other two over there or into the drop, and then you get Bandage out no matter what. If you don't have Bandage out, then you kind of want to send a Bandage to specifically get him out in the first place.
Right.
When Bandage dies, or whenever he gets KO'd, he has to be KO'd, then the Spike will come out in rest mode. And then same thing with Spike, he has to be KO'd. Whenever he gets KO'd, then the Grandpa Gohan comes out.
Thinking about your optimal turn one with Baba. So you play the Baba, you play the Bandages, so you get 2 bodies for 1 energy, right? It's not uncommon for you to have 5, 6, 7 bodies on board. So just thinking out loud, one thing I'm noticing is not here is the Bardock and the Tau that comes out for 3 or more bodies, battle cards on the field. Is it just there's not enough room for it, or did you not like the cards dynamic?
I just didn't want to waste the card in my hand, even though it's a free play, and you get the critical attack. I really just didn't want it to lower my hand too much. I wanted to keep like stuff in my hands if I need to, and really only the things that I needed to play were stuff to actually just stop my opponent, and then it's more being reactive instead of aggressive.
That's fair. I mean, obviously it works. So obviously you have the Android 17 negate that when you play it, you choose a 1-drop and put that into play, and all the autos will resolve. So I'm sure optimal is Android 17 into Baba or Android 17 into Pilaf, just depending on what you're looking for. But if you get the Baba, you get the Bandage, and you get to put something else in the drop for later. You have your Vado's assistance to restand your blockers, which is, I don't know how many times you've gotten yourself out of an issue. But yeah, obviously Topo, everybody should know what Topo does. It's basically the red Nimbus, pay 2, pitch a card. Every time the opponent swings, they're pitching 2. So on top of the infinite negate here, you've got all these backup blockers in case they try to push through for game. Obviously, the only thing he's not a red Saiyan or an Earthling, so he doesn't get to add blocker. But I don't think you need it with him.
No.
But a new card. Let's go into the new cards. Start with the Bulma. Obviously, you use the Bulma quite a bit. Can you tell me what the Bulma does?
Okay, so the Bunny Girl.
Yeah, Bunny Girl.
Anytime one of my Earthlings leaves the field through an effect, then she gets to get played for free, and then I can get a 4-drop or less pure Earthling from my drop area and play it. It's specifically supposed to be in there for the 4-drop Yamcha Desert Hyena, but I don't think I played that at all yesterday. I don't think I ever actually got a chance to play it. Most of the time, whenever my battle cards were getting KO'd by something other than just an attack, it ended up being when I didn't have him. So I ended up just using her to bring something else back. Right. Before this set came out, the one thing that I hated playing against was something that negged my battle cards attacks, because that just kind of screws up everything that I tried to do. So she kind of fixed that situation to where no matter what they do, I still get something out.
Right.
one of the things that I do a lot with her is also the same thing I did with Android 17. I would play her, get Baba, then get Bandage, and then kind of restart the chain if I needed to. I know in that final round I used it to get Lawless out, but that's because I had the 17 in my hand, so that when he attacked, I could still do the same play, plus a little bit more. He still ended up getting rid of Lawless during that turn, which is good because he wasted his counterplay Frieza on that instead of Android 17 and the extra blockers.
Right. Now, obviously, Yamcha Lawless tournament pack promo. I know you're really trying to get a lot of these quickly. How important is this to the deck? How much did you play it? Is it mainly for the draw at the end of turn? Did you ever proc the 15 plus and double strike?
Whenever I was testing this deck on Untap, it's good for the double strike. It helps get rid of unisons since they can't combo. The 30k double, it really helps. I like him there as the extra draw, especially for decks that I don't want to take extra life against, like U7. Against U7, I try to stay as high as possible the entire game. So him being on the field, just sitting there, lets me draw. And if they want to get rid of it, they're more than likely going to have to just death beam it during their turn because I'm probably not going to attack with it.
Right.
So it just kind of helps me get my draw too, since I'm not awakening. U7 is actually like one of my hardest matchups, but I didn't have to play against that yesterday, so that's good. I did win my last game that I had to play against it the other day. Still a difficult match, but I was able to pull that one out. But yeah, it's not really needed in the deck. It is funny to me though because every time I played it, my opponent wanted to get rid of it, which just kind of helped me out because most of the time I had the bunny girl, so I was able to just bring it right back. And it's like a little looming threat. Like it helps me gain advantage, and then if I decide to use it as an attack with the double strike, it can hurt a lot.
Right. I think the only other Yamcha, because I know you didn't play the Desert Hyena, the Merciless Barrage is a free play when you have the Unison out. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you keep it if you were to redo your deck?
Yes, absolutely. I really like the card. It's basically a free play blocker for me when I need it.
I'll touch base real quick on your Kaioken. Obviously, you play it with Deflect, and you KO everything 20k or less. And then there's a second effect, activate main, tap 2 red, discard the card, and then you neg a barrier, ignoring barrier card by 25,000. Obviously, very, very strong, depending on what you're playing against, like Invoker or whatnot. But how often did you do the first effect versus the second effect?
The first effect, honestly, I don't think I played it much throughout the whole tournament, other than the 2 games that were on stream. I kind of use him and exploiting pretty much the same way. I use it to just get rid of wide fields most of the time. The Kaioken is mostly in there for Invoker. To get rid of their Vegeta. He's also a 15k blocker. He's still a good card no matter what. Like whether you're gonna use exploiting or him, I really do think having both is really good. I did get somebody asking me on Facebook about exploiting and how much it helped or how much it came up. Exploiting is really good also against opening because his neg ability is an auto, so it will hit opening, and since it goes down to 0, it has to get removed no matter what. So it doesn't matter how many tokens they have, all the tokens will go away as well. So they never really get that. And then it also boosts my leader by 5K. But all around, like, exploiting weakness has always been good for Bulma because it gives it the extra 5K, so it kind of makes her a normal leader. And then Super Saiyan Blue just kind of helped out. My deck is supposed to be really defensive, so if my opponent is able to go pretty wide, then they both help out getting rid of it. And then, like, on that Zamasu game, I used Sen Shinron to neg their Goku Black from I think it's a 35 or 30K, and it brought it to below 20. So Super Saiyan Blue was able to KO everything on his board, not just his 2 Goku hits. So using those 2 together, like with the Sen Shinron, so like it pretty much board wipes anything that's a big threat.
For sure. Let's see. I think we've gone over everything except the Frieza secret rare. Pretty self-explanatory. 5-drop. If you have 2 or less life, it's quad strike. When it hits the board, you ignore barrier, KO all your opponent's battle cards, and then you look at your opponent's hand and pull any card and put in this card. You can cup that with the Sen Shenron -2 effect. So obviously you're checking if they have a second negate first with the Sen Shenron, right?
Yes.
For you. And then if you make a call if you want to try to, I don't know how far you charge, if you charge at 5 or 6 and stop, but I don't imagine you'd want to tap out for something that they could still negate. But how often did you play the secret rare? Just the one?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only time I actually played it yesterday was in that last game. I know I have, like, even through testing and stuff, a lot of the times I end up having 3 or 4 life, and I'll put a Cabo on the field, and it'll look like, or it'll kind of seem like it's just there for a blocker because I'm less than 4 life already, or I'm at 4 life already. So people don't expect me to use it to swing and take a life. But I'll put it on the field, let it sit there for a turn, and then when it comes back to me, I will charge one, and then I'll normally play a second Kappa after I swing with the first one to bring myself down to 3. Mm-hmm. So I'll, like, defend for a little bit, bring myself down to 3 with the attack, and then usually it gets stopped. And then I'll play a second one. I'll swing again and take another life. Then I'll use Sen Shenron to look at their hand. Even if they had taken life in the first place, it's best to do it after they take the lives. Look at their hand, see what they got. If they have negates that I can't get rid of, like if they have too many, which most of the time I only see one, because most of the time people are kind of wasting most of their negates on, like, the grandpas and Topo and Sin and the first, like, normally, if I'm lucky, they're using it on the Desert Hyena. But yeah, I usually get most of the negates out the way before I get to that point. Also, Kava gets negated a couple sometimes because people expect me to go through a little bit more damage with it. Mm-hmm. And then after I see whatever negates they have, as long as they only have one, then Frieza comes out right afterwards to get rid of their one negate.
Beautiful. And I love Frieza Army Reborn. I played it in a lot of my red decks myself. I guess final question here, Ernest, and I'll let you go, but would you make any changes to the deck if you had to go back to another tournament?
If I was doing best of 1, no. I think this is pretty solid the way I have it. If it was doing best of 3, I would probably take out the Pilafs and put in probably something else. I'm not really sure what else I would throw in, but I know I'd probably take those two out and put in something else. Actually, I probably would put in the Vidals that help you recycle your super combos. If it was a best of 3. And best of 3 would be a lot more difficult to play, specifically because there is certain matchups that are really difficult to play against. Invoker's one of them. So like against Invoker, I would want to have like Denial of Hopes for Rival Seekers, a couple other things that might ignore Barrier to get rid of Vegeta, stuff like that.
Sure.
Playing against Sin Shenron usually ends up in a draw. I still need to test play against that a little bit more. I played against 2 the other day, and they both ended up being a draw, and one at locals that also ended up being a draw. So a little bit more test playing against that one to try to get it to where it's not a draw for either one of us.
Right.
Yep, that's about it.
Cool. Ernest, thank you for your time. Excellent work doing the tournament. Obviously, you're a salt boy from Houston, so very proud of you. We're going to be hopefully taking off with whatever happens with these next tournaments, but sky's the limit. Hopefully, you bring Bulma to the top.